Okay, now I'm going to tie Pete up. And Pete's very comfortable being tied. His normal routine is you go out and put a halter on him. You lead him to the hitch rail and you tie him up, and then you work with him. He ties well. He'll pull back when he's tied if you scare him enough, but then he doesn't panic. He'll come forward, and then you can pressure him a lot more when he's tied without him getting away or hurting himself. Mules tend to be that way. We tie all of ours when we're planning to pressure them, take them too far outside their comfort zone. Basically, it's called flooding. You tie them up and you expose them to stuff, and you just hope that you can expose them enough that they can get over it. They can become familiar with it. It'll be less scary for them. It's not my chosen method of working with the mules. I have gotten to the point where I really prefer to work with them loose and not take them too far out of their comfort zone. It takes more time, but I get a mule who is much better about new experiences. As I said, Pete's 26 years old. We've had him since he was 4. We did much more traditional training with him than I do with the mules now. As I said, we tie him up, expose him to things, allow him to become familiar with them, and then move on. With Willie, the mule that I raised, I started clicker training him when he was 4 years old. And at 12, he's much calmer about new experiences than Pete is. Even though Pete started out, I would say Willie is actually the more reactive mule of the two. But anyway, maybe I'll do the same thing with Willie one of these days and get it on video. But what I'm doing here is I'm exposing him to the whip. He can't get away. He knows it. I'm using the whip in a very similar manner as the brush, so he's familiar with that. He's still nervous about it. He'd prefer that I not be waving the whip around and scaring him. But because he's tied and because he's been handled a lot and he knows the routine, he will tolerate a lot more when he's tied. The switching tail is definitely an anxiety reaction. As I say, I normally wouldn't do it this way, but I think it's useful to see that a mule who has been ridden and driven and had his feet handled and been shod and pretty much been a very useful mule can also be very reactive when you push him too far out of his comfort zone. Mules and especially donkeys can be very particular about their feet. They don't like having you mess with their feet. It's something you have to teach them to be confident about letting you handle their feet. Okay, now this is a big long target stick that I use with my horse. I've got him chasing it around. And I'm just going to use it very briefly on Pete to show you what flooding looks like. Flooding is when you introduce them to something they're afraid of, and you just kind of keep the pressure on until they either stand still or they slow down, and then you take it away to give them their reward. I don't like flooding. I try not to use it anymore. I'm just going to do it very briefly just to show you what it looks like. Remember that this mule will let you handle his feet. I should have gotten it on tape. I could put that target stick away and walk right back his hind foot, trim it, nail a shoe on it, and he'd never give me any trouble. He's the best one I have to shoe. But this is completely out of his experience. We never handle him with sticks. We don't flood him. He's very scared. and that even if I was going to flood him, I'd do it much more slowly. I'd approach much more slowly. I'd rub his legs a lot more. I'd keep him much further within his comfort zone. This is also with an unknown mule could be very dangerous, because if he gets scared enough, he's likely to wheel right around and kick at you, both hind feet. I've had that happen with